From Cornwall to Birmingham and Johnston and Bexhill, here's Ruben Spar on the radio.
Hello to Sad Cypress. How are you today?
I'm very good, thanks. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. So how did you come up with your guest artist name? How did that come about?
Sad Cypress.
Yeah.
That's actually a Shakespeare reference via Agatha Christie. So I had the Agatha Christie book. I was trying to think of a name that suited the kind of sound that I was creating. Like, I wanted something that got across the kind of music that I make. And I saw it on my bookshelf and I thought, well, that's right. But then I did a little bit of research into it as well and found it actually came from Shakespeare. And I really love the context of it as well. It works really well with what I'm trying to do. And my next album is actually going to be called Sad Cypress, and it's kind of loosely based around the play. It's from Twelfth Night. So it's still kind of early stages. I've written all of the music for it, but the lyrics are still half done. So I need to just put a little bit more thought into that, to fleshing it out.
So how long have you been a singer-songwriter for?
Well, I probably started writing songs even before I could play the guitar. So that's almost 20 years now, actually. But yeah, it was when I learned to play guitar. I pretty much immediately got into writing my own music as well as playing covers.
So can you tell me more about your first album that you released?
Okay, so Magic Mountain. It wasn't really conceived of as an album when I was recording it. I recorded the songs separately. There are a few of them I recorded together, but they were recorded over a period of years. I think all while I was living in Bristol. So it's got that commonality to it. But there was some when I was a student, and then some after I'd graduated. Some were actually recorded entirely on an 8-track, which was, I just can't believe I managed to do that, because a lot of them have a lot more than 8 tracks. So the amount of patience that I needed to have, and I had a terrible setup as well. I had a microphone with no microphone stand. So every song I recorded, before I could record it, it was like an absolute nightmare getting everything set up so it actually sounded okay. But I managed to do it. And then it was a few years afterwards, I decided, actually, I've got all of these songs. What does it seem like when I put them together? And it actually felt pretty cohesive. So that became my first album.
So what was it like going to the recording studio for the first time?
Sorry, I lost you a bit there. What was that?
What was it like going to the recording studio for the first time?
Well, I still haven't been in a recording studio. I think the only times I've been in a recording studio, when I was a student, I recorded vocals for one of my friends' projects, but otherwise I've done everything at home.
So will you be recorded at home, or will you go to the recording studio for your next album?
I think I'll probably do most of it at home. I'm thinking of maybe doing a bit of a hybrid process. So the vocals and the guitar. So that would be the rhythm guitar. That will be the base of the tracks. I'll do that first. I can probably record the bass myself here as well. But I am feeling, I guess maybe a little bit more ambitious. I can already hear that the songs want more parts and instruments that I can't play as well. Like every single thing on Magic Mountain was played by myself. Whereas I would like drums, which I'm not very good at, and violin. So I did have violin on some of my tracks, but it was very, very simple. But I can already hear some of the songs want some real violin. So I'm definitely going to need to have at least a little bit of help. And maybe the drums especially, I think that does need to be recorded in a studio, really.
Do you also know that released this year called Great in Motion?
So, sorry, I missed the beginning part of that question.
Can you tell me more about your current single called Great in Motion?
Okay. Yeah, that was a bit of a fluke, that track. I just, on a bit of a whim, I set up my laptop and started recording. I hadn't really written it. I just recorded, I think the bass line first. And actually, the idea behind it, I quite like the effect when songs aren't completely rigid in structure the whole way through. So typically you might get a sort of 4 bars of one chord, 4 bars of the next chord. And yeah, or it's rigid anyway. Whereas by just playing the bass line through, I just went with when it felt right to change the note. So that created the structure. And then that was then fixed, and I could build the melody over the top of it. So I think when you listen to it, even though there aren't that many guitar parts, there's still something interesting about it, because it's not what you expect. And that kind of, I feel like it's a little bit more organic. It's a lot more effort to write a longer song with that sort of technique, or a much more complicated song. But I am interested in doing that. I like things that take you away from just a completely sort of square, like, box structure.
So are you working on any new music in the near future?
Oh yeah. So I've written the music for an album. I've probably written more than an album's worth of music, actually. So unlike the last album, I'm in a position where I can sort of trim down before I'm recording, and hopefully get a little bit higher quality. But the lyrics still aren't finished, and those tend to be the most difficult part for me, because I think the music just comes through easier. I can just, I kind of hear it in my head. It just kind of happens, and it's just a case of transcribing it. Whereas the lyrics, they do come through in a similar way, but it's a lot more work to kind of translate it. It's kind of funny how it happens, actually. Often I'll kind of get the vowel sounds first, and then certain words will come through, and then I'll know for sure what it's about, and then I can actually fill in the rest. But it's a lot more labor.
So, can you tell me what it's like being a independent artist for you?
Um, well, I suppose it only feels like very recently I'm considering myself that at all. Like previously, I'd written some music. I'd played some gigs with like my school and my sixth form. I hadn't really done much off my own back. Whereas now I've been doing open mics and I've actually got a few gigs lined up now. I've sold um, quite a few copies of Magic Mountain actually, which feels amazing. So I'm actually at a point where okay, I think I can probably call myself an artist now. um, so it's I guess it's a bit tough. Like I'm doing it largely alone, or I have been. I am actually meeting a lot more musicians now that I'm going out to things. But you require a lot of self-motivation. You really do.
So, what inspires you to write music?
I think it was different in the past. The older songs, well, I can see that I'm quite a different person, really, in some ways. So the older songs, it almost felt like because I struggled to express myself in other ways, I wasn't very good at talking to people about my feelings, even my friends. I didn't really tell them how I was feeling. So when things that were tough were going on, I sort of I just felt like I had to write a song about it. It almost didn't seem like a choice. It was just inevitable. So that's where a lot of it used to come from. Whereas now it actually comes more from, I think, more of a positive place of I don't really know how to explain it. I feel like it maybe there's more confidence. Like I feel like it's more likely that what I produce could be of value to people. So it feels, I guess that in that sense, it feels less selfish. It's not just me like exploding. It's like I actually kind of want to share the things I've learned or things that have helped me, ideas, values, and that's dressed up in the music, really.
So, have you got any gigs coming up?
Yeah, so I've got a gig at Romney Folk Club in November, sorry, and then a gig with a local events organization called Vogo Events in December. And I haven't announced this yet because um, it's not like completely arranged, but I do have a very exciting gig lined up for Valentine's Day in Bristol. So yeah, that will be with a Bristol band called Hangover Square. And I'm really, really excited about it. It's yeah, it's just amazing how this has fallen into place. Yeah, I don't want to go like too personal with the details, but someone's really helped me out with it, and I really appreciate it.
Good to hear. And finally, can you tell my listeners where can they find you on social media?
Yeah, so I'm on, I think, all of the main social media platforms. So I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter. I think I'm even on TikTok. Not that I post on it very much, but I think Sad Cypress, that particular name was taken basically everywhere. So if you just search Sad Cypress, you'll find me. But the actual URL is Saddest Cypress, and that will be me.
Thank you for letting me chat to you today.
Sorry?
Thank you for letting me chat to you today.
Oh, thank you, Ruben. I really appreciate it.
Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thanks. You too.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.